Also known as the Dani, Rocco. How are you?
I am doing great, thank you. And I'm in warm weather, so I'm happy. I'm always happy when I'm warm.
Oh, well, it's summer. Where were you that it's cold?
I live in New Hampshire. It's always cold.
Damn. I live in San Diego. And to be honest with you, it just warmed up. Well,
okay, I won't be too jealous.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you should come out and visit. Oh, you are, I heard.
I am in September. I will see you. So there we go.
We're going to talk about that. So I'm here with Coach Dani, Danielle Rocco. I really want to come into this conversation as women to women. I also want to tell a story about how we met, because it's really, it's impacted my life so much, and people need to know that. Okay, so people need to know what is new with everything going on with the Nikki Jencen Show, which you have an intricate part of that whole development. And I'm so grateful. So thank you so much for being on the Nikki Jencen Show, the YouTube show. It will be something different soon enough, which we will get to. But so you have an American flag behind you, and tell me a little bit about why you have that behind you and why that's so important for you.
Yes, I am known as the girl that talks in front of the American flag. So I've always been very patriotic. And for no reason. It's not like my family growing up was military, Yes, my grandfather served, but we weren't like, America and, our soldiers. But I was always so grateful for the gifts that I have because I'm here. So I had like my son at 16, and that in other countries, I would have been shamed. I would have had to give the baby away. Could have been beaten to abort the baby. There were so many things, but to be able to kind of go through that, have a job, go to school, I was very grateful for those little things that I think a lot of us take for granted. And then my cousin joined the military, the Army, right after 9/11. He graduated high school and went right in. And that really changed who I was. He was deployed 3 times. He was injured. He came back and he was a mess. He didn't know how to function. And then my son that I had at 16, right out of high school, he joined the Marines. And that gave me a whole other perspective. So I had just this gratitude of being born in America, and then having family members that I was really close to go through it and be very close during their deployments and during their transitions, that it changed me. I couldn't just turn a blind eye. And so for me, sitting behind the American flag every day, talking to the world, having it tattooed on my body is basically an in-your-face reminder to me to be so thankful, even on my crappy days when I don't want to live, I'm like, we're so blessed. I'm so blessed.
You are a wife and you're a mom. How many kids do you have?
I have 3 and my husband has 3. So there are 6 altogether.
Dang, girl. And how old is your youngest?
He's going to be 18 tomorrow.
Okay.
18. Yeah, I'm on the outside of it. I'm like on the other end.
So how was it having a child at 16 years old? That's got to be so difficult.
It was, I think I was in such survival mode that I don't know. I just remember going through it. I remember crying a lot. I remember being so tired and being like, this is why people kill their babies. Like, I remember that, like, just stop crying. You know, he was colicky and he had ear infections all the time. And I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm on my own with his dad. And I just remember being in survival mode, just like, this is what you have to do. You have to work, you have to go to school, you have to be the best mom you can. You're supposed to marry the father, even though we shouldn't have gotten married. You know, I was trying to live this fairy tale life, but really not having any idea what I was doing.
And you're so young.
Yeah, I was young. It was 2 weeks after my 16th birthday. I wanted a car. I didn't get a car. I got Jacob. I had Jacob. And I love him. I wouldn't change any of it for the world, but I always watch those TV shows. Well, I don't, but I like see the advertisement for like, what is it, 16 and pregnant or teenage, whatever it is. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to tell you people, that is not what it's like. That is not at all what it's like. It is, yeah, maybe the drama might be there, but like I was working, going to school, having to stand on the street and get food off of a truck. It was so humiliating, but I didn't have enough. I didn't make enough money to support like a child and a family and a house. Like it was very humbling.
Where were your parents?
So my parents were divorced. My father lived in New Hampshire and I lived with my mother. And my mother was kind of she is kind of like a gypsy, and we traveled a lot, and she would leave me a lot alone in high school for weeks, you know, check in, I'd read her mail to her. She'd leave me money for food kind of thing. And so when I told her I was pregnant, I remembered very clearly, it was the scariest thing I had to do at that point was tell her. And she was in bed reading and she looked up and she said, well, you're an adult now, pack your stuff and go. I was like, oh,
like
okay.
leave.
Like, get out of the house. It's like, okay.
Oh, wow. Right. So that had to be the scariest moment of your life.
The funny thing is I remember that conversation. I do not remember how I felt or what I did after. Like, I know I ended up with, his name was Bill, Jacob's dad, living with him, but I don't remember any feelings or anything.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
You were so out of touch with your body, I'm sure, right? You were just like having an out of body experience because the emotion, the trauma to that was so overwhelming, I'm sure.
Yeah. Like probably, looking back again, it's that survival mode that we instinctively go through, right? We either run, fight, you know, and I was just like, all right, I got to fight. I got to stay alive, and here we go.
Yeah. That's incredible. And to where you are today. So, you know, you were heavily involved in dance as a child, correct? You were a ballerina?
Yes, I was a professional ballerina.
And your family owned a dance studio?
So my father owns a gymnastics school.
A gymnastics school, okay.
And I traveled with my mother. He was always in gymnastics. He was the professor at UNH for phys ed, and then the coach there. And my mother was a professional dancer, and traveled the country with her because that's who I lived with. That's how I got into doing that.
When did you stop dancing and doing gymnastics?
I stopped dancing at 13. I went through puberty and I was going to just, you know, rebel against everything. And that was one of the things. And my mom, again, she was in her own world. And so she just let it happen. And that's one of the things when later in life, as I ran the gymnastics school, my brother and I ran the gymnastics school for our father later in my life story. It's one of the times I would tell and coach people through is that when hormones happen, that's the one thing they can control is like extracurricular activities. You can't quit your family. You can't quit school. And that's what they do. And I said, you never want to quit something in a moment of distress. Going through puberty is a moment of distress. It's a total chaos. So you have to teach those skills then to fight through. And then when you're in a good place, if you still feel that way, then you can have that discussion, you know, but a lot of people just let their children quit. And what are we teaching them? You know, you don't learn to persevere and fight as an adult. You learn these things as children. And I know my mother didn't teach me that. She just said, okay, quit. And that's one of like, that's probably the only regret. Like, I don't regret having my son. I don't regret the lessons I learned from it, but I do regret like just giving up, like turning away years of something, because you can't get that back.
Through your own lessons as a mom and as a wife, and, you know, going through the motions of survival. So where did this land you in more of like a holistic living, becoming a coach, you know, getting your own show? How did that all play in? And how long did that take to transform?
So at 18, I moved to New Hampshire, and my dad asked if I wanted to come work for him. And I said, okay. So at 18, I took Jake and my husband at the time, Bill, and we moved up here and we did that. And I ran my family business, and I did it really well. And then my brother joined me after he was done. And none of everything of who I am right now has anything to do with that. I mean, they were all stepping stones and it built me, but it was the last thing on my radar. A year ago, last May, my father started losing his mind about 2 years ago. And my brother and I controlled the gym for him. And he started to try to come in and make choices that would basically bankrupt the business. And that business, I was in control of my father. I was in control of my 2 little brothers. Like financially, I was in control of my older brother and his family. I was in control of myself, and I was in control of the company business. So to have my father come in without a good mindset, like delusional mindset, and start taking over, my brother and I had to make a choice. We said, you know, you either have to sign over, like do like a 3-way vote, or we can't be part of this. And so our father publicly fired us, told the whole community that I was stealing from him. Like, he went off the deep end. And so my brother and I were left like, okay. And it was a good thing. It was actually a good thing, because our father was very abusive behind closed doors, and we're very old school raised, very old school Italian, even though that doesn't sound like it. But I had such a bond with my brother, and we had such, our father would save us a lot, even though it was an abusive save. So we felt this obligation to him, that now it's our turn to take care of him and do this. Not healthy at all. This is totally unhealthy. Everybody listening, do not do this. This is not the way it's supposed to be. So this is
your story, though.
Yes.
Story.
Yeah. The public humiliation that went through, it needed to happen, because we would have never left. My brother and I would never have left. And so that really propelled my mission of what I'm going to do. 4 years before that, I was in a car accident that I should have died from, that caused me severe brain trauma, concussion, chronic pain that I was living in. So that was my health mission, right? Where I started living healthier. Really, I was forced to respect my body and listen to my body, as before I could just be like, whatever. Yeah, sure, I'll do it, you know? So that started that. And then when we left our family business, my brother and I, then I was like, what am I going to do with my life? I'm not going back in gymnastics. That was not my dream. I don't want to do that.
Yes.
So that landed me here. A lot of, that in itself is a story of how I got from a year ago being a gymnastics school owner, not doing really anything like this at all, to now having a book, making a documentary, you know, traveling all over.
So your book is out. We can buy your book.
Well, you will probably in 2 weeks. It's in the making of formatting it, and the cover's already done. So it's in that last little bit, but it'll be on Amazon like in a couple weeks here.
What's the title of your book?
Devoted to a Soldier.
Okay. That's the same title as your documentary.
Yes.
Very smart. Very smart.
Yes.
So tell me about this documentary. I'm so excited about it, because it's really, it's really telling a story about being devoted to a soldier. And I am also devoted to a soldier. Well, he used to be a soldier.
Yeah.
He was in the Marines, my husband, and that's how we met. And so I identify with that. And I understand the I want to say kind of trauma that they go through as well, you know, going through boot camp, being screamed and yelled at, especially if you don't have that demeanor to withstand such,
Right.
you know, trauma to the psyche, essentially, right? So, and then as a woman, as a person who is devoted and loves that person, we're like, okay, this is, I'm in it to win it, you know, for the rest of my life. Then you're relationship coach, right? So what I have seen, and this is such a perfect niche, because what I have seen, not only in, you know, the military, but now my husband's a police officer. So what I've seen is such dysfunction. There's such relationship dysfunction within the military. And I don't know if your son experienced that, and that what might have driven you to become a relationship coach for specifically the military. Is that true? Or?
Well, he did not get into relationships, but he would tell me about his friends, because he was very, probably just being raised by me. And I always said, when he would go on a deployment, I'm like, look, I don't care what you do, but you cannot come home with a tattoo from overseas or a woman. Those were the two things he was not allowed to do. Get him all here, you know, but was that everyone's so young. They are so young. You know, he's in the barracks. He's 19, 20. There are kids younger than him in the barracks, and they want to get out of that. So what do? They get married because you get more money and you get a house, and these girls are that young, and they just are swoon, you know, like their feet are swept off from these men in uniforms, and nobody really knows who they are. They're the men, well, and women too, but they're being reprogrammed, which they have to be reprogrammed to do the jobs that they have to do. Our military is very good at that. What the problem is how do you unprogram a human being? You know, and you're not in that culture. It's very easy to program them. They're living in that culture. They're surrounded by that culture, but then you send them out and they have no community. They are not like everybody else. They don't have the same experiences, and they're just left to fend for themselves. And they're so young. They're so very young.
Yeah. So you have a couple events, one in August, one in September, right?
Yes. One in August, one in September, one in November. They just keep coming. So basically, I wrote this book, right? This devoted to a soldier, and it's stories, different stages and different people of what it's like being married, or being married then getting a divorce because you had no idea what you were doing. And so it was a workbook. And from that I said, well, that's great. The people could read that, but then what? Like, I felt like, okay, all right. So I had this idea of this documentary is basically it's the book on steroids. 5 people that are willing to talk about that they were told, but it didn't maybe turn out the way what they were told, or things that they weren't expected. Or there's a lot of, what I'm finding is individuals don't think what they hear. You're going to go through this, and this is what you're going to feel, and this is what PTS is, and all of this. They go through it, and they don't understand that that's what they're going through, because they don't think they've seen enough or done enough, or they have the right to feel this way, or the right to be going through that. So they shove it down. They become depressed. They become introverted. They can't even talk then with their spouse, or forget about even getting in a relationship if they're not in one, because they don't see the value in what they're feeling. So the documentary is showing, like, you're leading the other people. You don't have a mission anymore, technically, but your mission is to make sure everybody behind you that's going through this knows what you went through. So they know what to look for. They know that it's okay. They know that it's a community. I mean, we do these events and people walk away with a brand new community that they didn't realize was next door to them.
So you not only help people with the relationship and, bring this issue to light, but then you're also bringing in community and support for them. So yes, I love that. I love that. Great idea. Great, not only a business plan, but just you're really finessing on your purpose. You're really living your purpose in a large way, huge way that impacts so many. And the military, I know they need this. They need this. I have a lot of friends in the military. I have, I've been not in the military, but I was with my husband while he was in the military, saw firsthand how hard it is to have a relationship with someone in the military. And, besides getting their haircut every, week and, panicking about the fact that they have to get their haircut, that's like a 1% of the stuff that you have to deal with, and my husband got out about 2 weeks before we found out we were going to have a baby. So yeah, we moved to Huntington Beach, and he's like, what's going on? You haven't gotten your period. I'm 22 years old. We're about to get married. Yeah. And he gets out in the military, and I was like, I haven't really thought about that in a while. And that night found out that I was going to have a baby. My whole life changed.
Right.
Within an instant. And same for you. I mean, you're 15 years old, find out that you're pregnant, your mom kicks you out of the house. You're like, holy crap. My whole life, what I just knew is different now. It's going to be different from this day forward. And what a beautiful transformation, even though we think we're in the trenches then, and I'll tell you a quick story. My husband and I looked at each other, not pregnant at this point. He's still in the military. We looked at each other. I'm in, just about to graduate from college. And we're like, gosh, when is life going to get easier? When is life going to get easier? And I think God or the universe at that point was like, you ungrateful little bastards. You're about to see life get real good. So it was from that day forward that things really got put into perspective, really. So yes, devoted to a soldier, I totally understand and I get it. And I want to tell a story about how we met, because I promised that in the beginning. So I reached out to you. I was really drawn to your energy, and you have such a vibrant, beautiful energy. Like your whole aura is like beautifully white, and you have gone through so much, and you can tell that you have learned and you can transform others just by the stuff that you have gone through. And I love that about you. So I was really drawn to that. So we have a conversation, our energy meets, and so I'm telling you about my business, Live Your Purpose Marketing, right? And at that moment, Dani, I said to myself, and I don't think you know this, I said to myself, but am I living my purpose? Am I living my purpose? And it was that moment that I said, no, you have to say your truth right now. And I don't know why. I decided to tell you, but there are no mistakes in this world, right? But then I said to you, just blurted out, but I want to be a talk show host. That's who I really want to be. And you're like, okay, fantastic. I'll set you up with Shay Vaughn, Vince Vaughn's mom. And I was like, what? And I don't know why. And then all this stuff started to unfold, and you got me into connection with Shay Vaughn. And then, now I'm going to have a show, the Nikki Jencen Show, and that has also evolved. And it's going to be, it's going to be on YouTube, but it's going to be on a bigger platform in front of a bigger audience. And that's because of you. And I'm so grateful.
Well, I'm glad.
Shay Vaughn. I don't know how that happened.
It's just the way it's supposed to be. There are no mistakes ever.
There are no accidents. There are no mistakes. And we were meant to meet. And I'm so grateful for you and your beautiful energy and how you're transforming the world with your purpose. and your mission in this life. You know, there are no mistakes as far as you had a child so young as you did, because you had the strength to go through it, because other people needed to learn from you. And you know what I'm saying?
I
Coach Dani because of it.
I did. And I look back and it was all those things that my purpose, I know my purpose is here to serve our military. They serve, and I am so grateful, and I eat it up every day, because I cannot and will not ever put myself in the shoes that they walk. I won't do it. I'm honest about it. I don't want to do it. So I am so grateful for them. But I feel like a little bit of that chaos of having Jake as a kid. I get it with these young guys having children, being in my car accident, having traumatic brain injury, and living in chronic pain. I have a small snippet of what, you know, my son lives with, what all these other soldiers live with, and these other, these kind of totally different, like mine's minimal compared to what they have, but I get it. And I'm so grateful for the struggle I have. I'm so grateful that, I mean, there are times where I'm not grateful. Like I wake up because of my concussion, because of things on days, and I'm just like, I want to die. Like I still go through that. And I understand that's part of what happened to me, right? The damage that was done. But imagine living that every single moment and not having the skills and the tools to get yourself out of that. That is what like 95% of our soldiers feel, men and women, every single day.
Through it. And you would never know that this even happened to you, because when I watch your Facebook lives, you know, your daily dose of Dani, when I watch those, you would never know that you have anything wrong, anything going on with you in your brain. It's just like, it's just flawless, and you're flawless. And just to overcome the things that you probably have to go through and overcome on a daily basis is, you know, no one would know, by the way.
Right.
No one would know.
But that's when we look at all of, you know, people walking down the street. We don't know. We don't know. And they're not going to tell you.
Yeah.
They're not, until they feel that they are in a safe place where people are going to understand them.
Yeah. And that's why we never judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
We never know other people's story, right? So when someone comes up to us and they, you know, they vomit their nastiness all over us, and we're going, what the heck was that? It could ruin your day if you allowed it.
Yeah.
But what you should be thinking is, what did they actually go through? What are they going through?
I mean, people, they
prayer for them, send them some light and forgiveness, because they, you know, you were that thing that they decided to throw up on because you had the strength to take it, you know?
Yeah.
And they kind of knew that, and you allowed them to release, and you go, okay, thank you for releasing. Now you can leave me.
Yeah.
I wish you well. But how often does that happen? You get flipped off on the road, you know, somebody at the grocery store is coming up to you and, you know, is rude, or excuse me, you know, says, we all have these stories where someone, you know, can break someone's day because of their nastiness. Right. But really it's just them projecting their sadness onto you.
I remember there was a story I read. It was a true story, and I was reading it in a book, and I don't know, it just came to me when you were talking. I think when you share, it was this gentleman, and he was from his perspective. He's a business guy, and he was traveling, and he was overtired. He's going to all these meetings, and he's on this plane. And there are these two kids, and they're running up and down the plane aisles, and they're just loud, and he just wants to like be in his zone. And he's looking at their father, and their father is basically doing nothing. And it goes on and it goes on and it goes on. And finally he gets so pissed off, this, you know, businessman, he goes up to the dad, and he was just like, I have been sitting here and your kids are driving me crazy. He just like goes off to him. And the father looks up and says, I am so sorry. My wife just died. We are coming back from the funeral, and I do not even know what to do with myself or these kids.
Oh God.
right?
And at that moment, you feel like the biggest ass.
And that man said it changed my perspective forever.
Great story. Great story. Yeah. Heartfelt. Coach Dani, thank you so much. Devoted to a Soldier. Thank you so much for your beautiful energy. Who you are is just permeating just purpose and light all over the world. And I'm so grateful to know you. I'm so grateful that we met on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Who knew that LinkedIn was going to be a fabulous tool?
I tell you, I meet the most amazing people. Amazing people. You just put down judgment and be like, oh, well, yes, of course I'll talk to you.
Yeah. It's really transformed my entire business. It's transformed the way that I do business. I really have found myself as a business owner now, all because of having these conversations. And it's really, if somebody's listening and you're in business, really get in touch with people who are on LinkedIn, get in touch with other people who are doing what you're doing. They're not your competition. That doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Competition does not exist. What we are is a community. We build on each other. So thank you so much for your light and for everything you are and for being on the show. I really do appreciate you. And we'll be in touch soon, okay?
Yes, thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
We dance.